the hardest thing to do on Inaros, which is dying. I'm probably going to have to fast forward to this. So, almost there. There we go. So now you turn into a sand version of yourself that can attack enemies, and you can see that meter on the center, and basically that kind of shows you how much you're reviving, and boom, you're back up. So basically it's based on the amount of hits that you do. Every time you die though, that the amount of hits it takes to revive grows more. So basically if you die a lot, it's gonna get harder and harder to come back. But if you don't die for a while, the number starts going back down, so you basically can't recover. And his first ability works mostly the same, so you still do the sandstorm, and then that opens enemies for finishers, and those finishers with your passive heals you, so you heal back. And that's pretty much how it's always worked. The main thing that changed for this ability is more not on Inaros himself, but around Inaros, which is basically that we're making those finishers available to more enemies and making it so it's more consistent. Because right now there's a lot of enemies that you can try to do those finishers and they don't work. So in the patch they'll start working, and that doesn't only benefit Inaros, but it benefits Ash and anyone else that can open enemies for finishers. For his 2 and 3, we kind of combine them, so now it has the mechanics of 3, so it's basically the whirlwind, but you can cast it much faster. It's limited duration now, so instead of a drain, it just lasts a certain amount of time, and it's faster. So you can see here, I basically can move quite a bit faster in there. And most importantly, it drags enemies to be right below you. So since it drags enemies to you instead of tossing them all over the level, then you can after that do a ground finisher on them. And because you have your passive that heals you, you basically get a lot of heals from those ground finishers. And also, some of the benefits from the old second ability are now part of the third. So you can see when I cast this, I'm actually invulnerable, and I'm healing for every enemy that's within the range of my whirlwind. I am healing a little bit. So if there's a bunch of enemies, you just go in, whirlwind them together, and that heals you, and then they drop at your feet, and you start doing ground finishers on them. So you can combo that pretty nicely. So his 2 and his 3, we kind of merged them. But for his 4th, we did actually something weird, which is basically we split it in 2. So now you have the armor part as his 3, and you can see it here. So basically when you tap, you charge, and then you can see in the lower right, you get a little meter for the armor. You can move now while you cast it instead of being static like it was before, so that helps a lot. And the benefits from the augment, which protect you from status, are now embedded into the ability. So basically, whenever you take a status, instead of actually suffering the status, you get protected. Let me see if I can find. Yeah, so for example, these ones would give me corrosive. If I stand on it, you can see my armor went down, but I did not get the corrosive. And it gives you protection for a certain duration, so it doesn't get consumed super fast. So that's basically the 3. Now, the augment, which used to give you the status protection, now it gives you death protection, which it's a little bit of a twist that we made there. Essentially, it's a shorter cooldown than any of the other death protection augments we've done before. But after the invulnerability from the protection ends, you actually get hit with a slash proc. And that slash proc can kill you if you don't heal fast. So it synergizes really well with his finishers or his 2. Obviously his 2 makes you invulnerable, so you don't take damage from the slash, and also you can heal by getting close to enemies. So basically it's a dead protection that then you have to actually do something about it, because if you don't do something about it, the slash will kill you. So that's his 3. And his 4th gets the swarm part of the previous 4, but quite amplified. So let me show you. So when I cast the 4, you can see they get swarmed, and then that swarm can spread around. Essentially it CCs them, and any enemy killed during that swarm will actually create a sandcat. The sandcats are bugged right now in this demo, so sadly I cannot quite show them to you. But basically what they do is they attack enemies, and they also swarm those enemies. So they keep kind of spreading that CC around. And it can be really effective to kind of keep entire rooms kind of controlled with the swarm. The old swarm used to do 1 corrosive hit at the very end. Now it does it every tick. So that means it can also be used as a pretty effective way to shred armor, essentially. So to recap, when you die now, you turn into a sand version of yourself that can revive by hitting enemies. The 1 is mostly unchanged. The 2 and the 3 got merged, so now you get the whirlwind. It's much faster. It heals you. It gives you immunity. and then gathers enemies instead of throwing them around. His 3 is what used to be the armor part of his 4th. Now you can move while you cast it instead of being stuck in place. It has the default, the status protection by default, so now you'll be protected from any status as long as you have that up. His 4th now is the swarm part of that, and basically it casts now into a cone instead of into a single unit, and basically all those units get swarmed, and then that swarm can spread around CCing enemies. It can strip armor, and any enemies that die during while they're affected by swarm will create a sandcat that will assist in spreading that swarm even more. I hope you like it, and I hope we'll get it into your hands soon. Adios.
Sandcat.
Sandcat.
Wait,
Thank you, Pablo.
Gatito
De Arena.
Darina.
Yeah, thank you, Morning Pablo, for recording that and perhaps hurting your voice.
One detail I forgot about his 4th. I'm pretty sure this is the first time we've ever done this. The damage of the 4th scales with Inaros' health. So, obviously Inaros is well known for having a lot of health, so the more you lean
Well, we
into
took that off Garuda. Her damage used to scale with low health.
No, well, this is how much health he
Yeah, I
has.
know. So now it's like, but you took it off. Okay, all right.
Yeah, this slide I made does not do justice to
Actually, it
Morning
does
Pablo.
because Sandcat looks great.
The Sandcat looks
I
great.
thought he was
Sandcat
riding the
does
cat.
But yeah, he's riding into the wilderness. I'm limited on my text area, so I tried to put in as much as I could. Obviously, Pablo's video is much more comprehensive than my little slide. But yeah, that's the Inaros rework. We will have a dev workshop up, just working on finessing some points on